morning, everyone. So we are on to the Wizards of Once, obviously. Knock 3 times. Are we on chapter 17? Yes, we are, in the sea cave of the Nuka-Levi. The sea and the bobbing bottles, ta-da, I'm still here, went right inside the cave, but it was very dark in there, and they did not dare take the log boat in case the cave narrowed further down and the boat got stuck. They wanted to get off the Isle of the Nuka-Levi as quickly as they could once they'd completed their quest. If they completed their quest, that is. So Crusher, the giant, dragged the boat up the beach and left it there beside 40 or 50 other log boats, hauled up high above the sands, a bit like the shoes. These boats were a melancholy presence because whoever had crossed the sea in them had made a one-way trip and never, ever returned. They made themselves slowly enter the sea cave, trying to ignore every nerve in their bodies, screaming, "Don't go in! Don't go in! Don't do it!" Not to mention Bumbleboozle buzzing around in such a state of anxiety that she had blown up like a pufferfish. Poor little Squeeze Juice had not left Zar's pocket since they had travelled further and further away from Perdita's healing influence. He was trembling and going rigid again, the witch blood poison affecting him as it had done once before. Now he put one green eye to a hole in Zar's pocket and peered out fearfully. It was not surprising that they were going to need courage to go into the cave, for there were extraordinary rock formations that looked uncannily like teeth, and gave the impression that you might indeed be entering the mouth of a monster, as Bumbleboozle had actually suggested minutes before. And this cave contained some of the Druid's greatest secrets, so all around them in the cavern there were hushes that came around like a wicked whisper of that sent the hairs at the back of everyone's necks quivering electrically upward, along with strange scuttling noises that might have been the pattering feet of rats or mice, or were they just the fearful scurry of Wish's frantically beating heart? "Beware, beware, beware," sang the unknown voices, and they could be ghosts, or they might be will-o'-the-wisps that were appearing out of nowhere, laughing and cackling, and then adding more eerily, "Come here only if you dare," back into the darkness, leaving haunting whispers of beware in sound and in sprite writing fading into the dark air in front of them, and then they heard louder scraping noises, this time made by larger and more malevolent creatures with claws. No, it says paws, sorry, that had talons. "I bet those are Nixes," said Caliburn. "I hate Nixes. Horrible animals. Everyone, watch out, for if they strangle you, if they catch you." "This is spooky out there," said poor little Squeeze Juice from Zar's pocket. "I swear I don't like it. Why can't we go home to Spook's Hill, please?" But Squeeze Juice's plight only reminded everyone of the urgency of their quest. "We have to go on," said Wish. "We must find Boardkin and get the scales of the Nuka-Levi so we can make that spell as quickly as possible." Now, this was where Zar was extremely helpful as a companion. When things were really dangerous, Zar's eyes would light up and he would stick out his chest and whistle out of tune as if he didn't care about any of it. Bit smelly, bit damp. In here, sniffed Zar, and even if he was more scared than he looked, his cheerful defiance was usually useful in fooling them all that this was a lot less dangerous than it seemed. So on and on and on they went. Sometimes the cave narrowed and the beach disappeared entirely, and Crusher had to carry them across the water to the next bit of shore. Zar had explored many a sea cave in his short life, but this was the largest he had ever seen, and it was a long time before they reached what surely must have been the heart of the island, where the cave opened up to reveal a great underwater lake. All around was darkness and a smell of secrets that made them all shiver with the coldness of it, the air so chokingly foul it was hard to breathe. The sprites lit up as high and bright as they could see, as high as bright as they could, so that they could see, and the weird green light of little cave slugs gave off a gentle queasy glow. On the edge of the lake was a great heaped up mound of treasure in the form of magical objects the Druids deemed, don't know what's wrong with me today, too powerful to be in the world. harps that played themselves, arrows made of moon, hats with wings and 7-league boots, and talking heads and speaking stones and singing swords, all bewitched items of such threatening strength that the air around the heap of treasure gave off a sickly, shimmering stench of muffled, ghastly power. The sprites hissed like hornets. "That treasure is cursed," hissed Ariel uneasily. "Let's go back." In front of them, the lake was smooth and serene as a sheet of black glass, and deathly still. Sitting upright in the lake were rows and rows of soldiers, were thousands and thousands and thousands of bottles. "Uh-oh," gulped Caliban. "I think we may have found what we are looking for." For they certainly had. High on a ledge, on those very cavern walls, Bodkin was lying, having cried himself to sleep. He was beyond hope, poor Bodkin. He knew he was going to die here in the darkness. A little higher up still perched Night-Eye the snow-cat, clinging to the walls, her head drooping, poor cat, for she too was in despair. But now Night-Eye lifted her head eagerly. Her whiskers twitched. She swiveled her black-tipped ears. She let out a happy yowly meow of excitement as she caught the sound of approaching sprites and humans, and a giant that she recognized. "Don't worry, Night-Eye, we'll be fine," lied Bodkin, waking and trying to give the snow-cat the reassurance that he did not believe himself, and he closed his weary eyes again. And then Bodkin heard the voices of Wish and Tsar. For a second, he thought he was hallucinating, for he hadn't eaten anything for a while now, and all he had to drink was the drips of water that he could lick from the cavern wall. He lifted up his head in poor, exhausted slumber, and to his total delight, they were there. Wonderful Wish, her hair all a mess with electric anxiety, and staunch, proud Tsar, cheek to the backbone, whistling to pretend he wasn't scared as he looked around at the terrifying cavern. His friends. He thought he'd never see them again. I'm up here, Wash and Tsar," he whispered in a shaky voice from way, way up high in the heights of the cavern. They looked up. "Bodkin!" cried Tsar. "You're alive!" cried Wish, waving madly back. But the moment of delight passed in an instant as Bodkin remembered why they were all there. They must risk their lives to save him. He wasn't worth it. "You shouldn't have come!" cried Bodkin in a terrified voice. "Go back! Leave me here! I betrayed you to Queen Sycorax," said Bodkin. "We forgave you, Bodkin. You thought it was for the best and you made a mistake. We all make mistakes. We all need second chances. And I'm useless," said Bodkin. "You're not useless, Tsar. Should never have said that. Should you?" "No, I suppose I shouldn't have done," Tsar cried. "You're not useless. Why are you up there?" "I get my shoes on," cried Bodkin. There was silence. "Well, you have to admit that was a bit useless, Bodkin," muttered Tsar. "Shut up, Tsar," hissed Wish. "Oh." Tsar hurriedly remembered that he was supposed to be being tactful and boosting Bodkin's confidence. "I'm sure you had a very good reason, Bodkin, but why did you keep your shoes on? There were all those signs up and everything." "I fainted on the beach, and then I came to. I forgot to take my shoes off. The only thing I'm supposed to be good at is following rules, and I can't even do that. Go away, I'm not worth it." We're leaving it there. Oh, are we actually? Yes, we are. We're leaving it there, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.